Good morning. We are relational people. From the moment of our conception, we are put in relationship with one another. From the moment that baby is conceived, he or she is in direct relationship, connection with his or her mother. One of my fondest memories was with my two children, that I could touch them, feel them in the womb, and feel their movement, and knowing that was life. Being able to connect with them, even when they were still in the womb. Not too long ago, good friends of ours had a baby, and they sent us a picture, and it was a beautiful picture of him, the dad, holding the newborn, shirtless. And I went to my wife and I said, "It's a great picture, but why is he not wearing a shirt?" And she said, "That's what they do now, to bring about immediate bonding between the child and his father, to hold that baby close." We need to connect. We need to identify ourselves with each other. We need to belong. It's part of our human nature. And we go through life jostling through different groups as we grow up and mature and become adults and even into old age. That we encounter different groups in our life. We connect with different people, and they identify who we are. Some of those are family, close friends. Sometimes it's co-workers, or perhaps belonging to a particular social group, Knights of Columbus, KJT. Sometimes it's people that I'm complete strangers with, but I'm attending a football game with them or attending a concert. Each and every one of those are opportunities in which we come together and we connect, we relate, and they identify who we are. It's why we come here each and every Sunday. We come here as a community of faith, people of God, and we come from many different points of faith. But yet we come here united in communion to worship our loving God, to present ourselves here at the altar of the Lord, to receive his precious body and his precious blood, and then receiving the body of Christ, becoming the body of Christ, that then go out to be sent forth to live it. We come here and we get our true identity and our membership as a community of disciples. Each and every one of us are called to be formed in his word and to be fed by his food. And in doing so, we take in Jesus' ideals and his goals and his teachings. And our job is to take those and allow us to be formed. And in doing so, then we work diligently to go out and live it in everything that we say and do, in all aspects of our life. That's a calling that each and every one of us has. No exceptions. None. And it's really what those in the Jewish community in the Old Testament reading, and then those first disciples in the gospel reading were struggling with. What they were encountering. Maybe some friction there. There was a set group that was supposed to be prophesying in the Old Testament. Those disciples were being called by Jesus to go out and cast out demons. And yet that there were others that the group was seeing that they decided, well, they weren't part of the group. They weren't members. And so Joshua complains to Moses. Hey, they've got some guys that are they're prophesying, but they're not part of us. The disciples come to Jesus and they complain, hey, there's some people out there casting out demons, but they're not part of us. The issue, however, is that Joshua and those disciples lose sight of what the true meaning of discipleship is. It's not necessarily holding the membership card. It's living out fully and completely the works of discipleship. That's, again, for each and every one of us to fulfill. Each and every one of us are called to do that. Membership has its responsibilities. Membership requires us to follow Jesus in such a way that we go forth and we adopt who he is calling us to be, and then to live it out, not just in our words, but completely and fully in our actions and in our behaviors. And in doing so, that's what connects us to each other. That identifies us as true disciples of Christ, living as his disciples. In that connection, what that means then is that we are so uniquely connected to each other as his disciples that when we go forth and we recognize Christ in each other, and then in doing so bringing Christ to each other, then the whole community of disciples flourishes. The whole community lives. But conversely, when I do something that harms that relationship, when I do something that damages that connection, when I sin, and that sin disrupts the relationship with God and each of us, then the whole community of disciples suffers. That's Jesus' point when he goes on further. And we have two sections in today's gospel. And when we read that, we may think, what's the connection there? But Jesus goes on to fully develop what he's saying here about what membership in the community of disciples means. And if we take literally Jesus' words, we may look at those words and think, boy, those are pretty harsh words. And if we literally take Jesus' words, well, there'd be a whole lot of us without hands and without feet and without eyes. I know I would have lost mine a long time ago. But Jesus is making a point here, and perhaps an exaggeration to prove his point about the seriousness of sin and how sin damages the relationship, the membership that we have with each other as children of God in the body of Christ. And what he's telling us in his figurative language is whatever it is that may be preventing us from fully living our discipleship, whatever it is that's inhibiting the Spirit from working in and through us, whatever is preventing us from bringing Christ to each other, we need to root it out of our life. We need to get rid of it. We need to cut it out. We need to take whatever it is that's preventing us from fully living as the disciples that we are called to be, and to get rid of it in order that we can fully live as disciples. Our life as disciples is not just about having a membership card. That's our baptismal certificate. It's much deeper and more profound. It's about actually how we live out that life of discipleship. Quite a while ago, I'm going to date myself a bit, but I know many of you will remember this. Quite a while ago, there was a very successful ad campaign by a company that said membership has its privileges. And what that implied was just by the very fact that I was a member of the group, that I got certain rewards, certain favors, certain privileges. And it was successful because we like to hear that, right? We like to hear, okay, what's in it for me? What am I going to get out of this? By just being a member of this group, what do I get out of this? I would challenge us to say that actually exactly the opposite is true. That membership has its responsibilities. That membership requires us, as we are created in this community of love, centered on the love of Christ, to then go out and live in that love, express that love. And so it becomes not a matter of what's in it for me, what's in it that I can get, but rather it's what can I give? How can I bring Christ to you? Because you are a precious child of God. That's what this call of discipleship and being a member of the community of believers is all about. But as we gather together on this Sunday morning and come as a community of faith to worship our God, receive his nourishment, and then to go forth and express it, to live it, how are we going forth showing to everyone, bringing Christ into this world and declaring that, yes, I am a member of his community of disciples. I have come to bring Christ to you into a world that is in desperate need of his presence.